Hello, innovators, entrepreneurs, and risk takers. Welcome to another episode of Web3 with Sam Kamani podcast. And today I'm interviewing Simon Davis from Goat Gaming as well as the studio called Mighty Beer Games. And they have loads in store with what they are doing with AI and gaming and Web3. He is going to be sharing all the technical challenges they have faced as well as all the innovation they are bringing in this space. And what is the future of gaming on Telegram, gaming and Web3, AI agents, and so much more. As always, nothing that I talk about in this podcast episode should be taken as investment or financial advice. And please share this episode on your social media and leave a review and a rating for it after listening to it. With all that out of the way, let's get into it. So, Simon, it's great to have you on the show. Looking forward to interviewing you and talking about all things gaming. So, yeah, let's dive straight into it. How did you get involved with all things Web3 and gaming?
Oh, wow. Yeah, if we go back to the very beginning, talk about gaming, I initially never planned to be in gaming. So I studied music at university. Basically, one summer I got a part-time job as a localization tester, translating games from English to Spanish, because I come from a multilingual family. And that ended up spanning 21 years in games. So I've done everything from QA and project management through to being a designer, product lead. I was in charge of the online infrastructure for Ghost Recon Ubisoft at one point. I ran MMORPGs, and then the last corporate job I had was working at King, and King is the company that makes Candy Crush. And I left there in 2016 with the best 8-9 people they had in Asia, and we founded Mighty Bear. So Mighty Bear came directly out of King. And then with Web3, I started buying Bitcoin around 2015. So I wasn't super OG, but it's pretty early. And a lot of people on the team had been buying crypto. We had one guy that was mining Ethereum in his apartment in Singapore early on as well. And so the team was pretty, I think very unusually for a games team, was very crypto native. 2021, we could see what was happening with NFTs and with gaming. And we decided that we would reposition the company, which up at that point had been actually a fairly successful Web2 studio, to go all in on Web3 gaming, because this is where we believe the future of the industry was going to go. And yeah, we've been all in on Web3 since 2021.
And tell me a bit more about like Goat Gaming and Mighty Beer Games and how do they all fit in the picture?
Yeah, sure. Goat Gaming is the latest product that we built. So we shipped Goat Gaming last year.
Yes.
One of the things that we realized is that distribution is destiny. If you want to reach the largest possible number of users, then today that's on Telegram. Like people are championing having a few 100,000 users. Like Goat Gaming has had approximately 6 million players since its inception end of August. I think that's a number that few Web3 games will ever achieve. And that's purely down to Telegram. Like they're just a massive built-in distribution network. So Goat Gaming is an ecosystem of games on Telegram where multiple different games that you can compete in and you can win prizes. And so that could be raffle tickets to win NFTs. It could be physical goods. You can even go head to head with other players and skill gaming, and you can bet your tokens against them, go head to head, and then the winner wins the pot. And we've been experimenting with different gameplay types and everything on Telegram that's under the Goat Gaming banner. And then Mighty Bear Games is the name of the studio that we've been operating now for nearly 9 years.
That is so clever. I completely agree with what you say. I had read a quote somewhere that good founders look after product and marketing, but the best founders, they look after distribution. They think about distribution because distribution is king. And what we have seen with Amazon or when Apple iPods and things came out and iTunes had the distribution, and that's why music studios had no more leverage against Steve Jobs because he controlled the distribution. There's some very famous quotes by Steve Jobs on that, but that's 100% true. You need distribution if you're doing something in gaming. And that's what, when people start thinking about game concepts or ideas, they don't think about distribution. Are they going to go through Steam, through traditional channels? And Telegram definitely has a very huge captive audience. But one of the things that I have noticed in Web3 gaming, that it is very easy to get new players or wallet registrations, but it's very challenging to keep them engaged for a long time, because as soon as there is the new shiny thing with the new airdrop, with the new token launch, with the new thing, they all jump ship. How do you avoid that, or how do you keep them engaged?
Yeah, I think you raise an interesting point, right? I would argue that this is a very controversial take what I'm about to say. I would argue that if your community is just there for the airdrop, you don't actually have a community. You have a group of people that are there to extract.
Value.
Yeah, and that's honestly like 95+% of the projects in this space, right? People wouldn't use them if there wasn't an incentive. But to me, like that's what it comes down to. Can you create a product that people would want to play and would engage with, even if there wasn't a financial incentive? If you can crack that, then you solve retention. But truth is that retention in this space is difficult and not one for sure, because attention spans are very short, the meta changes. And so you need to focus on building that core community of people that would keep coming back regardless of financial incentive, and designing a product that you would use yourself. And I think if we're being honest, a lot of people in this space, especially on the gaming side, are not building products that they would play themselves.
Absolutely right. The thing is that the games haven't been fun. A lot of Web3 games, they are just more or less just a loot box designed in different ways, and it can only be fun for so long. So, what's on your roadmap for the next sort of 6 to 12 months?
Oh, wow. We have a lot. Where to begin? So we recently launched what we call the world's first engagement agent. So her name is Amy. She's essentially an AI agent that lives inside the community. So she chats to
Yep.
players in the Telegram chats. Players can speak to her one-on-one. She runs events with the community. She has her own socials. So recently we ran a giveaway where we gave away basically a Telegram NFT worth about $100. And she ran the event in the chat. And so the way the event worked was that it was a timer, 15 minutes down to zero. And the last person to pay the entry fee, which was about 30 cents, wins the prize. But the kind of twist was that if anyone bids within the last couple of minutes, it would reset back to 5 minutes. So Amy was like the cheerleader and the host, and she was running the event and people were engaging with it there. But now we're spinning her up so she can essentially run multiple different games within the different chats and within the ecosystem, and she can keep players engaged even when they're not within Good Game. And so I think there's something very interesting to be done with chat native games and AI agents. And so that's an area we're actively exploring. We're adding more and more
Yes.
content to Go. So we have a new game coming to Go called Grand Theft Pepe. And so
Yeah.
it's based on the Pepe meme, but also Plush Pepe is the blue chip NFT collection on Telegram. They sell for about $14,000 each. And so we wanted to do a game inspired by Pepe, and Pepe is running his crime empire so he can buy more NFTs. And so that game comes out in July. Exact date is TBD, but first half of July. And yeah, we're adding just more and more stuff to Telegram and really fleshing that out and making sure that we have an app which is Telegram native and works for the billion consumers which Telegram every day. Because one of the things you notice when you play a Telegram app is whether that was made by a team which is really like deep into Telegram and Telegram native and understands the culture versus someone who's just opportunistically showed up. I have a nephew I was chatting to this weekend. And he was telling me how he plays Roblox, and the developer of the game's changed. And he's like 7 or 8. He was saying he could actually tell the difference when the developer changed. The game feels different, right? It's not as fun anymore. And it's the same with Telegram or with any, like the team
Yes.
developing content where it isn't native, you can tell.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got 3 sons. They all game as expected for
Of course.
kids like 9, 10 year olds, and they play Minecraft and just all the same sort of things, Terraria, and lots and lots of different games. But then they are also very influenced by YouTubers and what the YouTubers are saying. So if the YouTubers are saying to them that, hey, the developers change and they're doing this or X, Y, or whatever, and then they all follow that as well. So sometimes it's also influenced, but then sometimes it is genuine that yes, they can tell the difference, especially if the game dev or devs get really aggressive with their monetization strategy. So then this consumer base has a very low buying power. They don't have the disposable income they rely on. So they're just, they have to watch the ads and stuff in a lot of different things, or have to grind it out as they have the time, but not
Yeah.
the Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. I have so many questions. I'm just wondering which one to tackle first. Let's tackle on the Telegram gaming side of things first, and then we'll go to Amy. I also want to talk to you about AlphaGoats, what's that and all that. But let's first start with the Telegram side of things. How has it I feel like the gaming narrative on Telegram became big like 6 to 9 months ago, and 6 months ago it was like it is now in like full force. What other sort of changes have you seen in that Telegram gaming environment?
It's interesting. So I think last year was Telegram Gaming 1.0. And it was just
Yes.
the tap to earn games. And so a lot of people came in because they expected an airdrop and they were happy to spend or to tap to try and earn their airdrop.
Yes.
And I think that was a great onboarding event for hundreds of millions of players. But then those airdrops didn't always live up to expectations, which I guess is to be expected when in some cases, like millions of people are receiving an airdrop. People were calculating they'd get thousands of dollars each, and maybe they end up getting a lot less. I think it was a good onboarding event, but it was not sustainable. And so what you're seeing this year is like a second wave of games being led by us and Boy, which is another game. And I have a friend making a game called Telemafia, which is inspired by Mafia Wars, which is an old Facebook game. And so you have people bringing in more truly social experiences and games which are not just about farming a token airdrop, but more community driven and ways to engage players. And so I would think that going forward, you're going to see something that looks more like traditional social gaming, really taking root on Telegram. And that to me is a huge opportunity because, again, like a billion MAU, everyone with a crypto wallet already at their fingertips
Exactly.
and their content lists ready to go. You can just invite a friend with a click, they're already in Telegram, to jump in. And so for me, that's a big opportunity. And I think that it's going to be a number of studios, including ourselves, that's going to build like very interesting products and very successful products in that space in the next 6 to 12 months.
Very true. Just completely a random question. What games do you play?
What games don't I play? I play pretty much everything because it's my job to stay current. And not just with games. I'll watch whatever movies are in the zeitgeist, whatever book is trending. And I try and stay current. So I haven't bought the Switch 2 yet, but I will be buying one. But my gaming habits go from FPS to sports games to MMORPG to doing research on a poker product earlier this week. So it's incredibly diverse.
Yeah, same over here. Are you going to eat CC later this week?
I shan't be going because I was just in Portugal for NFC.
Oh, yes,
And
that's right. NFC was there. Yes, that's right. Yes.
it's just a lot of trouble, man.
Lot.
I live in Singapore and each trip to Europe is over 24-hour round trip.
Yeah, it is very challenging. I live even further. I live in New Zealand. So
It's impossible, right?
yeah,
It
it
takes
really
24 hours just to get to Europe.
yeah, it is 24 hours at least. So what I do is I go once and go spend 2-3 weeks in Europe. That's what I'm doing right now. So I'm in Vienna right now and then spend 2-3 weeks here and then go back and then not go anywhere for 2-3 months. So that's my strategy. I can't do everything. No one can in our space. There's always something going on in our space. It's always very dynamic.
Honestly, that FOMO will kill you. Like in the early days when we were on Web3, I was really trying to be at every event and do everything and then run a
Yes.
studio, and it takes its toll on you physically. So I think if you want to really survive many years in this space, you have to just accept that
Pace
you can't
yourself.
hit
Yes.
every single target, right?
Absolutely. And you have to focus and do a few big things. But yeah, you're very lucky. You have got token one very big conference right at your doorsteps.
It's 10 minutes away from my house.
Yes, I'll see you there. But that's a crazy week with 1,000+ side events. It's insane. Anyway, coming back to Amy and fully autonomous AI agents. What were the biggest technical challenges or design challenges in making them feel engaging and human? Because it's like a goal of every game
Yeah.
to be engaging. So the same thing should be for AI agents. How do you make them more engaging? What's the playbook for that?
There's a couple of things. Firstly, I'd say it's more art than science. The very first version of Amy that I tested, I was like, this feels like IBM created this, but she has no personality. She's very corporate. She's very boring. It's like, what the hell is this? And then we really dialed up the chaos. Then I tried the next version. I was like, we need to pull this back. She was a hyper aggressive, really rude, roasting everyone. So like, no one's going to want to speak to this. And so it's been a lot of trial and error to find her voice. And so we had a clear vision of the kind of voice we wanted. So we actually wrote her backstory and we designed her life story and who she is and who she's not, what she likes. And then we designed the AI based on that. So there was a bit of narrative design, what game studios do.
Yeah.
And then we went and built the product off of that. And so the constant question, is this consistent with Amy or not? And then from a technical perspective, honestly, the tech is changing every week. So the stack that Amy was running on 2 weeks ago is not the stack that Amy's running on today, which is why right now she's a little bit wobbly. I'm pretty sure that'll be fixed in the next day or so, but it does mean that these AIs can be a little bit manic depressive. Like their moods can change quite quickly because you're changing parameters and they're ingesting information from the players as well. So we can see in real time what the players react to and the kind of messages they send to her one-on-one. So we can keep updating her, keep her learning and keep her personality evolving based on the interactions she has. But it does require careful monitoring as well, because there are some directions that you don't want to pull her in.
Absolutely. I'm just thinking back from my own personal experience and why did I play games? I played games for many years because of the social aspect of it, because we'd play multiplayer FPS type games and then we'd all log in at the same time from around the world. And this was our time to relax. Later, once kids go to bed, and I'm talking about 8, 9 years ago, young dads. And then this was our time to talk about the daily stress, everything. And we would do it. The game did not matter later on. It was just a social catch up, hangout type of thing. Like men go out and play golf. It's less about golf, more about social connections. I feel like that this go in the same direction. If you have like an AI based assistant agent, whatever name you want to call it, people might start using it mainly for the social thing and rather than anything else. And that's what they're discovering now, that one of the most prominent use cases of ChatGPT is personal counseling and it's mental health support. So that's what is really scary, which can have massive implications on how the AI is tuned. Are you thinking about that? What's your plan for that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. One of the first tests I did with Amy was I tried to get her to express her opinions on certain subjects that we just didn't want her to discuss because
Yes,
we're in the business of making games, right? And so
exactly. You don't want to take political sides and all.
not really. There's zero upside to us. Everyone's
Exactly.
opinions are private. But
Yes.
very quickly, I was pretty able to break her and get her saying things she shouldn't say. And so we've been very careful to shut that down and keep her focused really just on casual social experiences. I think that when you have an AI agent that interacts with people, you actually do have a duty of care to making sure that agent is safe. And so Go Gaming, look, when you sign up, we make you confirm you're over 18. So it's not aimed at children, but that's not really an excuse to not have guardrails either. So I think very carefully what she does say, what she can and can't say, and what her role is. And I'm fine with people like, just because they're lonely, just chatting to her, doing a hangout, whatever. But I don't envisage her ever being anything like a therapist or a counselor. I think anyone that's building a chatbot like that needs to put those in place to make sure that isn't happening. At the end of the day, these are unsupervised interactions you're having with your users.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the devs need to be responsible, right? You can't just be like, oh, it's LLMs for whatever. You're operating the bot.
Yeah. And it is happening already, even though ChatGPT wasn't built for that or any of the LLMs weren't built for what people are using it for. And now there are cases where people haven't taken a job because because they ask the LLM, hey, should I take this job? Asking it for life decisions and the LLM's advising them. And then they're like, now their career is ruined or whatever happens, or it's done well. How can you stop that? It's so hard. People are going to talk. This is humans.
I think ultimately the human's accountable. Bad advice was happening before LLS existed.
Oh, yeah.
We all have friends who give terrible advice. And so you also need to be able to pass that and say, yeah, not this person on that.
We have podcasters give terrible advice and that, but it's all good. I'm coming back to building my TBA games, gaming and everything. Is what would you do differently if you were to start now, if you were to start today?
Wow, that's such a great question. You know what? No one's ever really asked me that. If we were starting the company today, it'd just be a very different company. So the company we built in 2016 was an app business. So you designed the team in a certain way. You had certain working processes. If we were starting today, the company would probably only be 2 or 3 people, but the team would be 100%. The team would be much smaller and would be just operating in a very different way. We would also be a lot more, see, you don't know what you don't know. In the early days, we made a few hiring mistakes. I think lots of startup founders, especially when you're hiring for roles that you've never done. or you don't know how to hire. And the way we hire would be very different as well. I'm also in a position today where, because I started buying crypto so long ago, I wouldn't have to raise external funding immediately. I could self-fund for a while. And so we would probably later raise money, and we'd use AI again to ship stuff much faster for much cheaper. And only if we really felt the need to, only then raise money. I actually think there's a lot more avenues today to launch a successful small team without venture funding and build a really great business.
Absolutely. And I do believe that we are very close to having even unicorns built by 1 or 2 or 3 people teams. We are getting there. There was a company recently sold for 80 million built by a single founder not that long ago. So it is happening. We are getting there.
Scale 44. And it's funny you say that because I was on stage at Consensus in February and I predicted that within 18 months, someone will build $1 billion game studio as like a one-man team. And people laughed. 4 months later, someone sold an $88 million. But that was the price paid. So there are private valuations which will be much higher. I'm actually still very confident that $1 billion prediction is going to hold by middle of 2026.
We are getting there. Sooner or later, that's going to happen. And yeah, it is a very exciting future. I'm very excited about the whole future of AI and integration with blockchain. And we will need integration with blockchain to attribute whether it's content or art or unique IP and all those type of things. What are your thoughts on interaction of AI and Web3? Because you guys are doing a lot of things, and with Alpha AI, I read somewhere that you intend to create games using AI.
So let's talk about AI earlier. I really think that AI is just fundamentally changing how games are going to be developed. And it always takes time for the large companies to adapt. They're like oil tankers, very slow moving, slow to turn. But one of the things that we realized is that this actually gives us an advantage if we can adopt these tools and technologies earlier. And so for us, we've been very aggressively pushing this for the last year and a half. We can now ship Telegram mini games in 2-3 weeks. These are the type of games that when we founded the company would have taken us between 3 and 6 months to build. And that timeline is only getting shorter and shorter as we keep automating more and more of our workflows and finding more and more ways to optimize. And so for me, I think that that's an essential skill for anyone trying to succeed with a independent game studio, but especially in Web3 where it's so difficult. You have to give yourself every single advantage with user acquisition and content creation. And I also think that if you talk about AI agents, crypto provides the payment and finance rails for AI agents to work with each other. AI agents are not going to pay each other in fiat. Doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. Always had the use case for microtransactions. So that's how I also saw it. So you're 100% right.
I think on the agent side, like crypto and AI just make natural bedfellows. And so there's a lot of different use cases you can develop that are out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got just 2 more questions. But first part of the question is, what is the biggest challenge you're facing currently? And then the second part of the question is, what is your ask? Are you raising? Are you hiring? Are you looking for anything else? Feel free to share.
Yeah, that's a great question. So look, I think everyone's biggest challenge today is talent, but I don't mean finding people with loads of years of experience, this technical skill, that technical skill. I'm talking about people actually with the right mindset, because I've been talking about AI a lot, but being AI native requires you to approach your work in a very different way and already be up to date with these tools. So it's not something you do in your 9 to 5 in your work. Like people that are AI native are using these content and app creation or vibe coding tools in their free time as well, and are reading textbooks. And so finding people that have that level of interest and passion is still actually quite hard. If you have that level of focus and that passion, you have a huge advantage over most people today. People that are AI native is really the key challenge that I'm facing right now. There's a couple of roles I want to fill, but we're meeting great talent that I would have hired a year ago without thinking about it. But right now I need people that are already up to speed with these tools, and it's a small pool. And then in terms of us, we're not raising right now, but you're also never not raising.
Exactly.
So I'm sure you know this.
Yes.
If there are people that want to learn more about the business, I'm always happy to chat to new investors. And the other thing I'd say is that if you're on Telegram, then check out Goat Gaming. So it's at Goat Gaming Bot on Telegram, and just give it a play and let us know what you think as well.
Fantastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all these links in the description and show notes and
Thank you.
Comments on every platform that this is going to go, so people can reach out and check out Mighty Beer games, as well as the new game that is being released on the 10th of July, and check out Amy and interact with it and just provide feedback. Thank you, Simon, so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure interviewing you.
Thank you, Sam. You've been a gentleman.
Thank you so much for tuning in and listening or watching this episode of the Web3 with Sam Kamani podcast. By now, you know the drill. Leave a comment or share this episode with a friend and leave a review. I would love to hear from you. So that's why my DMs are open. Reach out to me, especially if you are a founder building a product in Web3. Then I would love to hear from you. What are your challenges? Is there anything that I can help you or my community can help you with? Thank you once again and wish you best of luck in building your startup or your project.